Our commitment is to make the tools, to make the platform better and better.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt me.
Hey guys, George Mesa, Third Eye Edify podcast. And today's episode, I will not start with a question, as I often do, but I will start with a comment, or at least a personal observation, is that I have never done this type of episode. No, not the video game stuff. I've done that before. Anyone that's seen every episode or a lot of episodes know that I am 100% official card carrying gamer. And if you saw my original venture into this whole realm of interviews and having content, my very first thing was Crow. Crow was the first thing I ever did, was appearing on Crow. Big shout out to him for putting me on when I had no presence whatsoever. And then I was on Interverse because he heard me on Crow and he got me on. We talked more about video games. I started talking about video games, and my plan was to get into that more than anything else, and I never did. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to. I have a book planned for that. I have other things to expose it for what I think it is. And I also am finding more and more that the style of music I cherished so much, metal, whatever kind you want to consider or call it, I have a lot of extreme metal experience in my music career. It's unfortunate, but it seems like there is a very long history of metal kind of being controlled opposition in a certain way. That's a loose term for me, but it seems like a lot of very important metal bands did a lot of damage and a lot of very purposeful manipulation of the culture in predictive programming and other things, just creating atheists left and right. Now, good or bad, it's important to have some kind of spirituality. And atheism is actually the opposite of that in a certain way. So maybe we'll talk about that, a whole huge episode with that one day. Because I was one too, and so was a lot of you, I bet. And I bet it's changed now. Not because I'm a Bible thumper, not because I moved to Kentucky, but because this does seem like it could be intelligent design. If the realm is indeed not a very fast-moving ball that is absolutely impossible to imagine as it's spinning and flying and orbiting, if the sun and the moon really are the same size, and if they really are the same distance, and if they really are the male and female, or the anode and the cathode of a battery, there's more to discuss there, and there's more to understand, and there's even more than we ever dreamed. And the ancients seem to know this. So where are we now? What is this episode that I said I've never done something before with? Well, what I'm going to do by the end of this is give a prediction. And I won't make you wait till the end. I do want to say what the idea of it is, but then I'm going to give some background and discuss some ideas and maybe get us thinking in a certain way, in a certain direction, not in a certain way. I never do that here. I never get people to think a certain way. I want you to hopefully be introduced to an idea because of me. That makes me very happy. But more importantly, you get to then look further, find your own reasons, find your own age of reason. Because it is indeed, it is indeed World War U and my new book. And there is a lot of reason to look deeper into all of the things that we glanced over as we worked 60, 70 hours a week, actually slaving away. So with all that aside, and I've mentioned this game series before because I really am a diehard Doom fan. I love it. And it's not because I'm old. But unfortunately, the more I think about it, the deeper I look. And please do look back to some of my video game episodes, particularly Gaming's Expendable Youth. I think that's definitely an episode worth revisiting. I also had an episode called Transformers, and that might have been episode 9, so it's a long time ago. In the Third Eye Edify world, it's a long time ago. I discussed Doom. I discussed how what some of their creators have gone on to do. But just to give a little overlay to the game series and why I'm even bothering to mention it, because I think I have a very good reason to mention it, as a matter of fact, in a Third Eye Edify way. This is not some review or fan theory or something. This is me being seriously almost happy to find out that maybe I have a way to predict something for once, because it's so hard. And it's often the way it is with conspiracy theorists. And do check out episode 3. It was the impetus for this entire show. Episode 3, the words. The words being conspiracy theorist. As they go into detail of what that actually means and why, once again, everything's inverted on its over and over again. Everything's inverted right upside down on its head, and it causes entire shifts in the paradigm of cultural thought and just perception of symbols and all kinds of other things. So, 1993, floppy disks, Doom is released. And if you don't know, and it's fine if you don't, by the way, you grab guns, you're a space marine, red flag right away, and you are essentially killing demons and alien demon zombies. For the most part, you're killing demon zombies. And they're aliens because you're a space marine on Mars. Doom 2 is called Hell on Earth, 1994. Sounds like a metal album, doesn't it? And there's lots of metal in the soundtracks. Not important. But there is a corporation, the UAC, the United Aerospace Corporation. And of course, we do have our Space Force now. And it looks like the person who is the best candidate for landing on the moon again or landing on Mars again, or on Mars with people for the first time, is good old elongated Muscardo. And I don't want to even bother. I don't even want to say his name. I don't even want to. I've shown plenty about him in the past, and I will show plenty about him again as he now makes his way into the upper echelons of government. And as if he wasn't already doing his best to be a mind governor, as I believe he has very successfully done, whether he even knows it or not. And this whole situation in Doom is that they opened a portal to hell on Mars. Demons are coming in, automatically qualifying them as alien demons. And of course, the people that were there at the base are zombified, so they're now alien demon zombies. And you have to go fix the situation. So how do you do that? You shoot. And it's a first-person shooter type of game, which means that you get the perspective of first-person perspective as you're shooting. This isn't the very first of its kind, but this did revolutionize the series and pave the way for every single title we have now that I described in detail in Gaming's Expendable Youth in a previous episode. It has convinced many, many, many people that they would like very much to go to war and that they would be very good at it. Now, being on the front lines of a war, your skill level is not necessarily a factor of how easily you can be killed. And that is also a discussion for a whole nother day. I did indeed make an episode for veterans. And that may be an exclusive one. I don't recall. I'm pretty sure I didn't want to post that on YouTube. But there's a lot of angles to all of this. The bottom line is, I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe that we're going to Mars and land on anything that can be called Mars. I think Mars is very powerful and very potent and very important. And I think everything in the sky is very important. But as far as us traveling there, I'd have a lot of trouble believing it. And as good old Elon Musk said himself, you know it's real because it looks so fake. Don't forget. Okay, never forget. So There is a new Doom game coming out, a new release. Modern stuff doesn't look anything like that. And it's going to be called Doom Dark Ages, which is predictably a prequel. At this point, who cares where the story goes? But that idea alone didn't trigger my thoughts in this episode. Something else did. And maybe we can give a little background into why that name is particularly interesting to me at a Third Eye Edify level. But before I do that, let's mention something very quickly in the world of metal, as in the music genre, which is extremely varied and you never know what you're getting sometimes. And to call something metal is almost silly at this point because there's just so many, many different kinds that qualify as different styles, in my opinion, definitely. So in the game, and this is for the newer Doom games, not in the old ones, you are called the Doom Slayer or the Slayer. This made me think of the band Slayer, who I used to just love, probably because they were who they were image wise, and they are really all just image. And after seeing them live several times and realizing that they don't put on the very best show. If you absolutely love the music, the show's great. That's that. If you're not a true blue, like professional musician, the show is great. But after all the mistakes and missed lines from the singer and the fact that I don't even think he's even playing his bass, or at least he's not playing the bass lines that I remember, or if you can even hear bass on half the recordings, you really can't. And as a bass player, that already sucked. But they're doing their best to be note for note as a recording, and I don't love that. I like when bands try to push a little and let the song grow that they wrote 20, 30 years ago. But anyway, not important. My Slayer CDs are now owned by a very good friend. My Slayer collection. It's the old me. That's a long time ago. But this simple idea of the Doom Slayer made me think about Slayer a little bit deeper. Because I kind of gave up on them around 97, 98. What came out? Diabolus in Musica? The Devil in Music? It's already like whatever. Kind of a reference to the interval of a tritone, which I discussed in detail in my music series. Please do see my music mini-series, which is a playlist on Patreon, conveniently located on Patreon. And I think there's a playlist for it on YouTube as well, as a matter of fact, for almost every episode in my music mini-series. So what do we get with Slayer? What did I miss when I dropped off the Slayer wagon? I missed something very crucial. To my awesome audience here, I would like you to know that this album of Slayer, called God Hates Us All, a mantra that the singer himself, Tom Araya, doesn't really believe, as far as I know, as far as I can tell. God Hates Us All was released on September 11th, 2001. The overlaps with metal and the awfuls of this world are very interesting. But this one strikes a chord, no pun intended, wouldn't you say? So I thought I would throw that in there for you to know that these things, there's a reason. There's a reason. That was a Tuesday, by the way, as a lot of you probably know when 9/11 was. And, for this album to come out on Tuesday, just to make any sense. It's almost like it was on purpose. So all these other release dates I'm going to discuss are Fridays. So far more common release date for something in the entertainment realm. Think about your movie theater releases. Think about video games and TV shows and stuff. TGIF, right? Yeah, like anybody has a weekend anymore. Nobody I know does. So the Dark Ages. And I'll get to the prediction. Don't worry. I have an interesting prediction, and it came up from a very interesting idea. And it got me looking at things that I haven't looked at in quite a while, and it was hurtful to look back into what had occurred 4 years ago, or more than 4 years ago. To look back and even to bother to think about them. We'll get to that. So, the Dark Ages, 5th to 10th century, Some claim it goes a little further, 15th century, the entire Middle Ages. You never know. But much like Petrarch said in around 1330, it's that we stepped out of the light and into the darkness. He was labeling dark as post Roman, light being classical antiquity, Greek and Roman. Stepping out of the dark and into the light. I'm sorry, stepping out of the light and into the darkness. And I think a lot of scholars now are not even using this term Dark Ages, which is great because I really doubt human ingenuity and human beauty ever leaves humanity, regardless of what is happening, regardless of who's trying to crush us and bring us down spiritually and morally, financially, whatever. We don't even own our houses anymore, do we? And by the way, I want to mention that, this whole process that we are all transmuting ourselves. We are all bringing our own realization of ourselves to light. Speaking of light and dark, and this is an ongoing process for all of us. I do things like this to help me. It helps me to talk about Doom. If it's not Doom or Tekken or New Zelda, I'm probably I might know about it, but I can't play games anymore like I used to. Trust me, I've played more games than you and all your friends combined. And I've finished. I've done enough. I have books to read now. I have other things to do. I have 3 children of my own and 2 amazing stepkids. And right? So I'm saying this to let you know that we can help each other slowly filter out the things that we don't need to focus on what's really important. To make a new generation of people that don't even have to grow up with the problems of the Department of Education here in the United States. For example, we can help each other slowly get rid of these things by focusing on community, focusing on family, doing things that matter. But I am in a unique position where I am very, very well versed in this specific realm of entertainment, video games, and of course, movies and TV from the times that I was watching them, and music. But music history in general, past 1,000 years easily and more. I'm very up to date and very well studied on these things, and I can start to piece together things that I don't think other people have as easy of a time to find or catch these aha moments because they didn't live through something or they didn't experience something or don't have a reason to think about it. So we have to appreciate that we're available in this commercial pop culture realm because they feed us so much information that it would be a shame to miss it also. Keeping your ear to the ground and your eyes on the horizon actually does require that you take in and ingest some of this entertainment. We just can't be suckling the teats of Disney and Hollywood anymore. This is something that hopefully will go away more quickly than anything else. But there are things to see. There are things to learn. And, perspective is art. Art in general. This piece is titled Triumph of Christianity. And as you can see, as we exit the classical antiquity, Christianity is suddenly going to become a burgeoning factor in all society. Christianity here, a golden rod destroying something else, taking down the tower of the past. This could be a tarot card. It's clearly understated and somehow quite overstated. And this is 1582 by Tommaso Loretti. This concept, this is the core essence of what I'm trying to discuss here. Something had been toppled. Something changed when we went through what we all went through 4 years ago. It affected all of us differently. And hopefully it affected us all very deeply. I'm trying to find something here that may clue us into a time frame, a good, fair guesstimate into when the next thing, whether it's a pandemic or not, the next thing might be. Stay tuned for more. I'm almost there. So, before this new Doom game coming out, Doom Dark Ages, was a game called Doom Eternal, which came out in 2020. More importantly, March of 2020, and even more importantly, March 20th of 2020. If anyone here is well aware of it, they will know that this is essentially when the entire world shut down, or at the very least when the United States was told, you can't go to work, you can't do nothing, stay home, flatten the curve, right? Now, if Doom Eternal was to be released on March 20th, then all the game stores would have been closed and nobody would have received the Doom Eternal. But very often, the stores have the games early. They just have to wait to sell them. So I got a phone call from the local game store telling me, come get Doom. We have it already and we're giving it out now so that way you can get it before we have to close the store. This is Doom Eternal that I'm talking about for anyone who does know. Now, at the time, knowing that I was about to be home and that I might have some extra time for video games since my very first daughter was yet to be born by about 3 months, this seemed like a very good thing. Wonderful. Now I can spend my time doing this until it's over and get it out of the way. Get it out of my system, in other words. Think about the impact of this. A video game was sold early, just so they could be sure that everyone who paid for it already got it before all the stores closed. What foresight, what prescience, yes. Yes, indeed. The company that makes this game, by the way, is called ID. So I'm not getting into that right now, but there's already something to it, is there not? Now, right before this one, 4 years before this, was a game called Doom 2016, as it's nicknamed because it's not the original Doom, but it's just called Doom. And the time frame between that game, which came out in May 13th of 2016, the time frame between that, May 13th, 2016, March 20th, 2020, is exactly 1,400 days. Now, that number isn't necessarily the most important thing. It's 3 years and 10 months. It's 46 months total. But you may know Caligula from Rome, who was really actually named something Caesar Augustus, of course, born in August. Died in January. I was trying to see if his dates would work out for maybe, because there's no release date yet on Doom Dark Ages, but it is coming out next year. That's kind of closer to where I'm going with this prediction. So Caligula's reign, and he was known for being quite strange in a lot of ways, which I will not get into right now, because I can't confirm or deny it, right? It's just some pretty outlandish stuff going on with this dude, Caligula. His reign was exactly 1,400 days. So if this is like sparking anything in anyone's mind, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share, tell somebody about this. Very interesting. 1,400 days. It's been used in history before this time period, this 4-year time period. So I'm finding that to be very interesting. But I don't have anything further with it, except that it's the same amount of time as Caligula's reign. Very unique. So, you know what I didn't do? I didn't go from Doom Eternal's release to 1,400 days. I'll do that live with us right now. So, let me see. You know, as interesting as all this is, I'm almost pained to discuss this because it's hitting so many different, notes of, for me, to almost a level of hysteria. I forgot to show this. Caligula, 1,400 Days of Terror. Now on the History Channel, of course. So in the main track of that Slayer album, a song called Disciple, where they actually use the name of the album, God Hates Us All. Global chaos feeding on hysteria is one of the lyrics. Speaking of the word hysteria, which I shouldn't use at all because it's a very, very, very negative word for women. It has to do with the word hysterectomy, actually, hysteria. So forget that word. Get rid of it. It's got to go. My point in all of this, and I think I've kind of gotten where I needed to get with it. My point with all of this is that in March of 2020, this game called Doom was released right before the insanity hit full stride. 4 years later, we've gone through a new presidency. Now we've gone back to the one we had. And we have another we have another release coming in 2025 of this game, Doom Dark Ages. Now, I'm going to update this with a very short episode once the release date for this game is announced, because I think that we should be and I don't like doing this, but I'm feeling very compelled to share my thoughts of this information with you. I'm feeling very confident that this date will be significant for some reason other than the release of Doom Dark Ages. So bear with me since I don't have a release date. I was checking out, these games come out on Fridays. The original Doom in 1993 came out on a Friday, December 10th, that is, 1993, Friday. Doom 2016, May 13th, 2016, Friday. Doom Eternal was supposed to be March 20th. That was a Friday. So, let's see. 1,400 days, it won't matter. It won't matter because I'm not even going to do the 1,400 days from Doom Eternal because it's already been over 4 years. So we're past the 1,400 days is not going to matter. But I think that there's going to be possibly something to this. And I would really hate it if it was. I really would, actually. I'd like to just keep living my life. I'm sure we all would. But you know what? We have to learn to change our systems that we exist within. We have to barter. We have to learn to accept that paper money is probably not going to be around much longer. There's a lot of things to focus on now and bettering ourselves and getting better at the things we need to be good at. Become friends with farmers. Do all the things you know are right. Now is the time. So as far as March Fridays coming up, we've got the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th. Those are the 4 Fridays this March for 2025. And the numbers from March 28th add up to 22, which is really an 11, maybe. And March 7th and March 14th, if you add the 2025 to the number, you get 19. And I'm not pushing for the 9/11 number. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. But there it is. There's 2 19s in here. So who knows? I mean, it's just a possible connection. I can't. I don't have an answer. I don't have the answer. I also don't have a release date. So those are my predictions for the release date of this game at this point. Also, May, since Doom 2016 came out in May, I'm expecting March or May release at this point for this game. And May 16th has 111 as its number, and May 23rd we get 19 again. We do the 2025. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe this will be one of their. So I'm trying to predict the release date of this game so I can predict a time that we need to be very, very careful about how we approach it and what we're looking for. I did not look at any anomalies in the sky on these days. Perhaps I should have. Maybe I will consult an expert about that. So this is the information I have for you today. This is what's been spread out before you. And I want you to do with it what you will. And I want you to know that it's coming from the right place. I'm not trying to fear monger. I I would never. It's not me. I am quite happy, as a matter of fact, in case you didn't notice. And I'm surrounded by happy, wonderful people. So, what I do hope is that if that at least more minds than ever will be prepared. You know what? There's not a lot of people watching this show. So I can only do so much. But if you think someone would like to hear this, share it. And thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I'm daring to leave this one on YouTube, and I didn't want to, but I think I'm just going to do it. And a lot of episodes, I'm not going to be able to post on YouTube as much anymore. YouTube doesn't like me to begin with, by the way. So I opened a bass university page, which the link is in the show notes, for my bass guitar teaching. And I get from YouTube Studio, it shows me things I get information about the page that I never got for Third Eye Edify. Never. It tells me, oh, you've had this many viewers this month, this many hours. Here's a little quiz. Take a quiz based on your channel. I've never seen that for Third Eye Edify. It's been over 2 years. So that's one tiny little way that YouTube can shadow ban you, or at least not give you the goods, so to speak, if they don't like your channel. Believe me, YouTube does not like this channel. And so what? I'm utilizing it as a way to reach as many people as possible because most people still use YouTube. So that is the problem. Everything I have is on Patreon, and way more if you do indeed become a paying member. And I have 2 different tiers for that. So, and there's always Rockfin. Rockfin will have my exclusives, and all of my videos from here on Rockfin will be exclusive. I don't see a need to leave free things on Rockfin when most people watching are paying for it. And that's the point. You want to feel like you're in the club, so to speak. But all the free things on YouTube are free on Patreon, and I think the video player is excellent for Patreon. So do migrate over to there, or prepare, because I'm going to be making my website is going to be where you get my exclusive stuff soon. And there will be a membership there. That's what's coming in 2025. Aside from Doom Dark Ages. So like I said, I'm going to make a short episode when they give us a release date for this game, which I anticipate will be very soon. And we will dig much deeper at that time, at that date. We'll see what's going on in the sky around that time and on that day. And we'll look at more things that may lead to this day, or other things that may make sense to coordinate with anything. Anything can happen at any time. We know that. And I don't think anybody that's watching this show pretends like that's not true. But there are a lot of people that are pretending, and a lot of them are pretending in masks, as a matter of fact, which is still a thing somehow. So, oh man, I don't know how, but there it is. So, thank you. Thanks for hanging out with me here. I think you'll agree that I don't think I've ever really done an episode like this before. So, very interesting for me to do it, actually. And I thank you so much. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to anyone that is subscribed to my channel on Rockfin. And plenty more where that came from. A lot of interviews coming, and I'm going to have a multi-part series on rituals, which I'm looking forward to. And, oh man, lots of other things. All in this big old book here. Thanks again. I'll see you guys real soon.